Hey everyone, today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the 3i S10 Ultra. This is the world's first floor washing robot vacuum cleaner with water recycling. That's going to be the key takeaway and feature for this particular RoboVac, so I can't wait to see this in action. 3i did send me this product, but any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this product or you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. Take a look at the retail box and packaging right here. This thing is massive. I'd say it's easily about twice the size, packaging-wise, as a typical robot vacuum cleaner. We have some key features highlighted right here. Water recycling system, sweeping along the edge, so the mop even kicks out too, which is really neat. AI control, all-purpose station. We'll be diving into more detail for that to see how it works, and real-time self-cleaning of the roller mop, which is a game changer for messy floors and spills where typical systems will just spread it around. This one's going to clean in real time. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and see what's inside. Here are all the contents. First up, we have your user guide and manual, super detailed and thorough, walking you through everything you need to know about using and setting up your brand new robot vacuum and mop. This also has warranty information in it. It does come with a 1-year warranty. Next, you'll find a multi-purpose cleaning tool. Bristle brush on this side. We got a little cutter up there. Next, we have the carbon rod. You can see the carbon rod right here with installation instructions. 800 milliliters of cleaning solution. 3i branding on it, showing you installation on the back with a nice diagram. Next, we have the vacuum and mop, followed by the station. Let's take a look at these in more detail. Starting with the top of the vacuum, we have a silver and black finish. The black is raised. We have a radar module under here. I really like the finish of this, the silver with the glossy black, 3i's logo and branding. Just has a unique design and futuristic feel to it that we don't see on a lot of other RoboVacs. 3-mic array, start button and indicator light there. We can remove this cover to reveal Wi-Fi and power button and our internal dustbin. So take a look at that from all different sides and angles here. We can open up the dustbin too, follow those arrows to get access to the inside for cleaning and to replace the filter as needed. We have our instructions there for care and maintenance. And there's a peek inside with it removed. And it just slots right back in place and the cover snaps right back on. Looking at the very front, we got that radar module up at the top, all of our AI vision settings here, and our green laser underneath at the bottom, peeking out. That will shine this direction out in front of the vacuum. Moving along the side, here's our navigational bumper, some venting there. Now we're looking along the back side here. We have our sewage box to clean and remove regularly. We have our water inlet there. Additional sensors, charging contacts. With that removed, you can get a better feel for the size of the mop roller on this thing. That's going to be about the size of a typical wet dry vac mop roller, which is great. So very serious cleaning business there. Here's a look at the side with the edge mopping system that will kick out and clean. This chute is going to be for the self-empty. The contents will exhaust out through there to the station. And then we have some additional sensors along the bumper on that side. But pretty sweet module there on the front with the radar up at the top and the green laser down at the bottom. Looking underneath the vacuum, you'll notice 2 spring-loaded drive wheels with 25 millimeters of clearance for those stubborn thresholds in your household. Omnidirectional wheel. We have our left and right side cleaning brushes, multiple cliff sensors. We have our main mopping roller here, as well as our main brush roller. The brush roller does self-level depending on your floors. And we can open this up to reveal our detangling system and comb on the inside there. We have the bristle and rubber agitator on the brush. Best of both worlds there. This will just snap right back in place like so. Very easy to clean and maintain. Very capable under here though for vacuuming and mopping. Take a look at what you're getting. Large area here and a massive mopping surface here for your floors. Onto the station. Up at the top, we have removable instructions for daily use, going over the key features. On the right hand side, you'll notice 3 control buttons: child lock, return to home, start, stop, cleaning. We can open up this front cover to reveal 3i's logo and branding, and we have a handle here to grip to remove the clean water tank. Here's a look with that removed, and you'll notice a purple button here on the side that says push, and this will open up a lid here so we can add in our solution to the tank right there. Once this is filled up, it just slides right back in and you can shut the lid. Here's a look at the left side profile. This is the top and this is the bottom right here. Here's a look at the right side profile. This is the top and this is the bottom. Here's a look at part of the bottom. This is the front where the vacuum will drive into, and this is the middle of it. And here's the middle and the back of the unit from the very bottom. And here's your look at the back side. This is the bottom, this is the top. Integrated power cord here with handle, and we have our air filter cover, so we can pop that off. And here's a look at the included air filter. You can see the filtration system right there. And here's a look at the very front. This is the top, this is the bottom. Where the 3i branding is here, this cover pops up and removes, revealing our already installed dust bag for self-empty. And then we can easily pull that up and out of the way to replace and add our new bag, like you see right there. And then the cover just snaps right back on. And then down at the bottom here, this is where all the magic happens, where it cleans, washes, charges, and empties itself. So we have multiple moving pieces and parts in there. You'll notice too, upon initial setup, we have 2 stickers here with a removable tray. So make sure that you install the tray in its normal place for use and remove these stickers. And then it just slides right back in there. So if you ever need to wipe down and clean in here, it's nice to know that you have an easy access tray to wash, clean, and dry, and then slot right back in. Now let's charge it up, fill it up, and try it out. Now that we've conducted our first real-world cleaning, let's take a look at the results. First, we're going to start with the drip tray right here that's removable from the station. Very easy to clean. Couple of spots left, a little bit of debris. Not bad at all, and super simple to wash, clean, and reinstall this. Now we'll look at the vacuum. On the top, you have your typical fingerprints. This glossy black cover is a fingerprint magnet. Now we'll look at the dust box. In the box, look at this. Got a lot of crumbs settling at the bottom, tons of debris and pet hair itching its way to come out from our collection opening right there. Inside looks pretty good. See a couple of hairs and a little bit of dust there. Let's try to very gently open this up. without making a huge mess here. Take a look at that debris in there. Now we'll dump it out for further inspection here. So inside, the filter starting to collect the dust that you'd expect. Same with the screen, the mesh screen right there. On the inside, we got finer dirt and dust. And then here's a look at our real world contents. Pet hair, human hair, a lot of crumbs, dirt and debris right there. Just what you'd expect to find around your household. Looking at the rest of the vacuum underneath, we don't have any noticeable hairs or tangles here. We have a couple stragglers there on the main brush roller. And further inside, we have some threads here from my shag rug I can see that have collected off to the side. So you still want to maintain this periodically to make sure you're getting any leftover residue, any buildup of hairs or threads that aren't coming off with the detangling tool. But not bad at all. Typically for this style of roller, we'd see much worse. They really tend to accumulate that human hair front and center on the brush. And lastly, for the mop right here, we can press in and we can remove the mop altogether so you can see it and get a better feel for how clean it is. I do see some streaks here, probably right in line with its water jets. So keep that in mind, but not bad. I've definitely seen better. And then looking up into the system here, we got some debris build up there. Some hair, some dirt, dust, things that are going to collect on the roller when it's mopping. They'll get stuck and stranded right there. So make sure every once in a while that you're keeping an eye on that to properly clean and maintain and wipe down yourself. And we can't forget about the tiny sewage tank on the back right here. Very, very small amount. I'm not sure if you can even see that on camera here. Really just a drip of water so far in the tank, but keep an eye on that and make sure that you're regularly cleaning this out as well. Now let's take a quick look at the 3i mobile app. Here's a look at our device and its current status. It's paused. We have 99% battery life left. We can quickly resume or have it return home or select get started. If you had this back at the station in the charging base, it would have a couple of quick shortcuts right there where the resume and return button are. So let's select get started. Up at the top, you'll notice our cleaning stats. We have our map as well as real-time notifications. It thinks that the wheels are suspended. Yes, technically they are, but that's where you'll see stuff like that if it ever got stuck, suspended, all of that. Here's a look at our map. It's adding all the furniture, tables, and everything for us. It's building that out. Even got appliances there. See the refrigerator, the station itself. We got that 3D view. So below that, we have AI Auto, Full Clean, Room Clean, or Zone Clean.
Stop.
So we have our voice prompts too. So you can pick and choose which rooms or zone. So it can create zones here. So where do you want it to clean? And then you can adjust the parameters for that zone cleaning. Vac and mop, just vacuum 1 or 2 times. Quiet, medium, or strong. Dry, medium, or very wet for the water volume for mopping. So you can customize that right there. Right now, there's no option to add additional zones that we can find within the map. That's kind of a bummer. Most other vacuums will have that feature. And then down at the bottom, we got our return and start. We'd also have our station features there where we could basically empty and dry it as well if it was back at the dock. And then again, right here, depending on the clean that you want, you can either customize the clean per room if you're in room cleaning, or for full cleaning, you can set those parameters, same thing. So you do have some customization there. And then below the settings gear icon, we got our map option here where we can support multiple maps. At least 4 maps can be supported at one time. So you can manage those there. You can edit your room, so merge, split, rename, change the material of the floor type. If you want to go customize all that. Here's the no-go zones. You can set up to 10 of those. So I got 1 red box there where I don't want it to go. So it's not a no vacuum or no mop. It's just a don't go zone for everything. They don't have other options. We can edit outer walls. You get the idea. Adjust furniture. So different layers if you want to show those or not. So that's your map settings. And then hitting that settings gear icon on the top right-hand corner takes us to a couple more things we can look at, like our cleaning history. So take a look at our full clean here. Shows you the duration, the efficiency. There's our map with everywhere that it cleaned. The view's a little goofy though. As you can see here, we can't bring the whole thing. There we go. In the light. I don't really like the 3D option. I wish that we had more customization over getting rid of it personally, but that's just my own opinion. You might love that. But there's a breakdown of the clean. Next, we have scheduling options. If you want to put this vacuum on a schedule, there's the map editing again. Here's where we can tweak some of our clean settings. So auto retractable edge cleaning, intelligent order, you can toggle those on or off. We have a carpet boost and carpet avoidance settings. More robot settings here if you want to turn like child lock or do not disturb. Locate it. You can actually level this vacuum too, which is cool. So put on a flat area and you can re-level if you need to. Restore and delete. AI recognition, I toggled that on. They walk you through all the different types of like dirt detection it has. Pet display settings. Object display. Furniture display. You get the idea. There's the green eye dirt detection. I toggled that on. And then this is really cool. This is the station settings. You might want to spend a couple minutes here. We can turn on or off water production by air, basically turning on or off the dehumidifier, excuse me. And then here's the station settings. So cleaning solution, station lighting. You can turn the lights on or off if they're bothersome to you. I think they're really cool. Water production by air. So current indoor humidity, the range for starting water or air to water production. You can go anywhere from 30 to 80%. Or somewhere in between. And then quick relocation. So that's a way to empty the water in the station before transporting the robot. And then down here we have device sharing. We can view what's left for each consumable on the vacuum. Basically the shelf life of each part and component before it's time to replace. And then everything else is firmware updates about the machine, privacy and security, and a feedback option down at the bottom. So it's a very capable app with some decent customization options and very simple and straightforward to navigate and find exactly what you're looking for. And the moment you've all been waiting for, how does our 3i S10 Ultra stack up against the competition? We'll be comparing it to over 70 plus robot vacuum cleaner and or mop combos. So we'll be looking at that data and feature set, so hopefully you can assess for yourself where the value lies with this particular vacuum, and hopefully if it is or isn't the right vacuum for you. So first up, we're looking at max suction power. This is measured in PAs. This has 13,000 PAs of suction power. That's the highest we've personally seen. That surpasses the Dreamy X40 Ultra and the Frio Z Ultra from Narwhal at 12,000 respectively. So without further ado, we would expect some fantastic real-world cleaning results in our deep cleaning test, right? Well, we're about to find out. But the average is less than half the suction power of this on your typical robot vacuum and mop. Now, in this more flagship cutting edge territory, you tend to see anywhere between, let's say, 8 and 12,000. So still pretty substantial difference there with what this one offers versus the competition. Next is max CFM. This is a metric we measure in-house versus suction power, which is provided by the brands and what they market to everybody. This only comes in at 6.9 CFM compared to the average of 6.8. You would expect this to be much higher with all of that suction power, but that's why we take these measurements and why we do our real-world carpet deep cleaning. And this was rather shocking. In our carpet deep cleaning test, we scored a 70 out of 100. That's 17 points below the average. But again, we were over 50% greater in suction power. And we were neck and neck in CFM, and we are not seeing the same results there. But I did notice while we were conducting this test, for some reason it appears actually while this vacuum's on carpet, sometimes it starts up with really strong suction power and then it just seems to level itself out. So I'm not sure if that carpet boost is or isn't working properly as it should, but if I look at these results, we're nowhere near where we should be. I'd expect at least an 80 or 85 at a minimum. This is giving me similar vibes to the Rika J20, which would have those results. So I would love to see 100, right? That it did a fantastic job. In this case, though, it's only at a 70. I'm putting a little asterisk there because, again, I think there might be something firmware-wise that needs to be updated to make sure that's working properly. But as it currently stands in this form and shape, with nothing that I can do on my end, this is what you could expect, a 70 out of 100 in our carpet deep cleaning test, which is well below average and quite a bummer for all of that suction power. And next we have our decibel test. This peaked at 72 decibels. We always measure this on the highest suction power on carpets, and you'll notice from this test, again, this seems rather quiet for having all of that suction power. So again, I'm thinking that the carpet settings aren't fully worked out with this vacuum in its current state, but it is on the rather quiet side. The good news here, if there is nothing wrong, it's fairly quiet, and if it does have more suction power that can be activated on carpets in the future, I'd expect this to be in the high 70s, and that's still pretty negligible compared to the average. So for most of you, you're going to be able to hear RoboVac regardless of its suction power and capabilities. You will notice it in the room. If it's really, really strong, then sure, it can be more bothersome. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't say it's that much louder at 80 decibels versus 71. Moving right along to battery life, this is measured in minutes. We have a 180-minute runtime with this vacuum. That's 20 minutes above your average typical vac, which is great to see. And the reason why we get such great runtime is our large battery capacity, 5,200 milliamp hours compared to the average of 3,900. Typically on flagship and premium models like this is going to be the baseline battery capacity that you'll see. From Dreamy and a couple other brands trickling down now, we're starting to see 6,400 milliamp hour battery capacities, which would be nice to have in this particular vacuum. But again, I'm glad they didn't go any lower than 5,200. Next, in regards to height, this is measured in inches. We have a 4.4 inch height for this vacuum. That's going to be a little bit taller than the average, but that average skews lower because we have a lot of vacuums that don't have any sensors up at the top, but we also have some that have LiDAR up at the top, and that makes them a little bit taller. I'd say compared to your typical LiDAR vacuum cleaner, this is probably like 0.1 or 0.2 inches above average. Next, let's talk about dust bin capacity. This is measured in milliliters. We have a 350 milliliter dust bin capacity. That's 130 milliliters less than the average, but don't forget, this is a self-emptying vacuum cleaner, and we tend to find in our data that self-emptying vacuums have bins around this size, anywhere between like 2 and 350. It's only the vacuums that don't have self-empty that have the larger bins that go to 400 and beyond. So they're trying to save space. It's also kind of a moot point since it can go back and empty as needed, whereas you want that larger internal dust bin capacity if you don't have a self-empty vacuum, because that's going to prevent you and save you from making as many trips as you would with a smaller internal dust bin. Next, we have our internal water tank capacity. This is measured in milliliters. This has 120 milliliter capacity. That's actually probably about 20 to 40 milliliters above average for a typical vacuum like this. I'm thinking that has to do with that unique mopping system with all of those jets to constantly keep that mop roller clean. You're going to need a little bit more water, but we tend to find, just like the self-empty dustbin capacities, that for vacuums like this that can refill and wash themselves, they have smaller internal water tanks because it's not really needed. Whereas on vacuums that don't, they skew our average higher because they can't refill themselves. You have to do it. Next up, a feature absent from our S10 Ultra is hot water mop washing. Definitely a bummer in my opinion, but with this unique design, I'm not sure if they can or can't and what those compromises would be either in the station trying to do that or on board, but I'd like to see them try to do that in the future. And if they do, hopefully it's going to be at or above the average that we're seeing of 153 degrees Fahrenheit for the water that's used to clean the mops. Really quick, why that's important is the hotter the water, the more thorough and hygienic your clean's going to be. Next up is mop lift height. The good news here, with this unique system, they still give us 8 millimeters of mop lift. That's 2 millimeters below the average, but some is better than none. And within the app, if you want, you can have it avoid carpets altogether if that's a concern to you. Another clutch feature that they included is Mop Extend. It just kicks out the mop on the side. Now, with that being said, as much as I like this feature, I think it's one of the coolest mop extends I've seen. It's not as good as your typical design with the one mop pad that kicks out and stays out. This one's too aggressive in bringing it out and in. I honestly just wish it stayed out the whole time while it's cleaning, regardless of if it's at an edge or a corner or not, to make sure we're getting maximum coverage. While I can sing high praises for the unique side brush design on this vacuum cleaner, unfortunately it doesn't have side brush reach, and that feels like a pretty big miss for this robot. It should definitely be able to have one of the brushes kick out and help clean around corners and hard to reach areas. Next, let's talk about hair detangling. This does have a hair detangling system, and it does it back at the base station. You can see as it goes through its cleaning sequence that there's a spot for it to do the detangling. In our testing, it still left hair on the brush roller. I'm not sure why that's the case. It seems like this and any other vacuum that we've tried that has a hair detangling system always still leaves tangles. So it's never gonna be the end all be all. Hopefully it's just user error or my unique household with a lot of hairy humans and pets that's causing these issues. But even with our testing hair, longer and shorter hair, it still left hair on the brush. So again, anything is better than nothing, but this isn't the end-all be-all that I thought it would be, but hopefully you see better results. And then we can't forget about water recycling. This is gonna be its biggest and most advanced feature that we've never seen on any other robot vacuum and mop. It's too cool, very clever and smart. Basically, they built a dehumidifier into the station that pulls the humidity out of your air and generates water for the mopping system to use. It also recycles water, all of that good stuff, and it's really impressive. I'm not sure how it's truly done. You can't see much observing the station from the outside, but they got some cool breakdowns and diagrams online that you could check out that kind of show the process in the system working. But in a nutshell, it's basically going to be a 2-in-1 device, right? I should say a 3-in-1 device. Your dehumidifier, your vacuum, and your mop. And it saves you the step from having to add water manually yourself. So go ahead, set it up, add your water in, and depending on the frequency of use and your air and moisture conditions, this will generate water for you. For those interested, from zero in our own testing with the humidity environment around 40%, it would take 4.6 days for our clean water tank to completely fill up from zero. So hope that helps you put it in perspective for what you can expect in your own environment. And last but not least, the cost. What does this vacuum cost? So on average, you'll notice that this is going to be a little bit shy of twice as expensive as your average typical robot vacuum and mop. But this is a flagship cutting edge vacuum, again, with the water recycling, the mop washing, drying, self-empty, all of that good stuff bundled in. It's going to be actually, in my opinion, a little bit cheaper than your typical flagship vacuum that this is competing with, and it has that unique advantage of the water recycling system. So where does that leave us? Well, let me share with you my final thoughts. Here's what you need to know about this 3i S10 Ultra. Everything I'm about to say is just from my experience with the vacuum in its current state. So it feels like this is a little bit incomplete because I believe there's some things coming down the pipeline, like access to live video monitoring and a couple more features like that. I'm hoping maybe a firmware upgrade to make sure if there's any carpet issues that we mentioned earlier, that those will be resolved. But let me share with you some highlights and lowlights. First up, the biggest highlight's gonna be the auto water recycling system. So cool. I think this is a great feature in addition and super clever versus having to plumb in water and getting rid of your dirty water and all that, or to manually refill and empty every couple of days. So I really like the creativity with this vacuum. It's a breath of fresh air in the space, and it's going to continue to push other brands to continue to innovate. And at the end of the day, that means us, the consumer, wins. But with that added benefit, now you have a couple of drawbacks. The station's much larger than your typical robot vac and mop station, which is saying something because those are fairly large nonetheless. So now you have a much larger station, and it's going to be having a fan running in the background. So now you have a dehumidifier in your house. So wherever you place this, you're going to be able to hear it. So it definitely comes at a cost. Now you can configure that on or off if you want within the app, or adjust the humidity level so it's not always running. But again, that's something you have to factor in. Next, let's talk about the green laser. I just think the laser is really cool and refreshing versus your typical LED lights or sensors where you don't see anything. I'm not sure if it's actually truly making that much of a difference versus your typical non-laser equipped vacuum, but it definitely feels like we're living in the future with its design and having that laser there. I know I already talked about the hair detangling, but I want to mention it again here for just a second. Could be user error on my part, but we never seem to get great results with any sort of hair detangling system. I feel like I have really high expectations, and then I always get grounded back to reality when I look at the brush after it's finished, it's clean. The good news here though, something is better than nothing, because I could even tell on just our first initial clean that the amount of hair from our dog and daughters and wife and even maybe myself, it's not as much as we typically see. So I do believe that it's working somewhat, maybe just depending on the amount of hair. Obviously, a ton of hair or really long hair is going to make this system not very effective, but anything's better than nothing, but it's not the end-all be-all that I was hoping it to be. You'll still probably encounter hair with this brush roller. Next, let's talk about object recognition. I had high hopes and expectations for this system. We basically have 3 cameras on the front and the green laser at the bottom. I thought for sure this would make this one of the most capable object avoiding vacuums out there. So I had really high hopes and expectations, but I was brought back to reality rather quickly. Cords and pet waste it seemed to really struggle with. Basically anything pop can size and beyond, it did an okay job with, but I was really hoping that it would be fine-tuned for some of the smaller objects so you really could get lazy and not have to tidy your house at all. Maybe in the future they can update that through additional firmware and database, building image libraries, all of that stuff, but I got to look at it for what it is right now. I can hope for the future that it gets better, but right now where it's at, I'd say it under delivers. And in that same train of thought, let's talk about the mobile app. So there's no live video monitoring at the time of this video. I am told that it's coming in a future update, but currently it's not shipped with it, at least the sample that we have here. And I notice there's a couple more things that are missing. Maybe they're coming in the update, maybe they're not, but there's no mop only mode. There's no ability to set no mop zones or no vacuum zones. It's just an all-encompassing no-go zone. There's no fine-tuned ability to really control the dehumidifier. It's basically on, off, or adjust the humidity setting. I like just have more controls. Maybe you could set it on a schedule, things like that, to maximize when it can and can't run. And also, it was kind of annoying a couple of times just needing to test this vacuum. It would kind of be stuck at the station due to completing a cleaning cycle. So there's a wastewater process that it does that you can't exit out of. So you're at the mercy of the vacuum a couple of times throughout the cleaning cycle, which I thought was unusual. There should be a way that you should be able to stop it and have full control always of the vacuum. Now I probably could like unplug it from the wall, right? That sort of thing, but that's not the point. If I want to get it back out, it should be able to stop its process and come back out to me and allow it to continue to use it. I'm being really picky there on this vacuum. It's really cool. It definitely gives off Tesla vibes. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I feel like it's got that Tesla vibe for a robot vacuum with its design. It's really cool. It's really refreshing. And it's great to see a brand trying new things with that auto water recycling system. That's going to be the key takeaway here. If that's something you're gravitating towards, you don't have any other choices, so this is your choice. If it's not, and you want it, or it's a nice to have, but there's some other things that are more important to you, object recognition, mobile app experience, things along those lines, well, you have other options to choose from too that will probably do a much better job.